Hey guys, welcome to this week's video from Propulsion Swimming. I'm Dan and this week we're back with another Swimmer Reacts video. We enjoy doing them so much and it's great to build a bit of inspiration for the next time you're at the pool for new drills. So as usual, Scott has found some drills on Instagram. I've never seen them before. Let's take a look at them together, so let's get cracking. Headphones in. As usual, I'll have to get told off otherwise. Oh awesome, Dave Hemmings ones. Oh, I'll tell you what, shout out to Dave Hemmings, he's doing a fantastic job. Let's go for the first drill. Oh, breaststroke turn. This might be Wilby then. 2 hands on the wall, straight, yeah. They're doing a lot of work on turns actually. And I've seen a lot of drills where they do mid turns and it's all about just getting their legs underneath them as quick as possible. It's almost like a half rotation. But in this drill, basically, it's just a perfect race skill, effectively.
Trying to be as narrow as possible. I
think
the skills they picked up at ISL.
Yeah, oh definitely. I'll tell you what, actually, a lot of those swimmers in the Dave Hemmings squad came through the ISL and had major breakouts because of these turns. I'm sure we'll see some underwater footage in other drills later on. But this is basically the perfect way to do a breaststroke turn. It's all about getting in and out of the wall as quickly as possible, being as narrow as possible, tuck your knees in as much as possible, drive that elbow back, arm over the top behind your ear basically, and then push off in a tight streamline. Yeah, I can't fault it. This is exactly how it should be done. Get in and out to the wall as fast as possible. I used to do a teaching, like hot potato, get in the wall, off the wall in less than a second ideally. Yeah, can't fault it. Alright, next drill. Underwater, there we go. There's always going to be some underwater footage. Oh, it's different ones as well. Adding the fins on. Do you reckon that's Joe Litchfield? I reckon it's Joe Litchfield.
What's your favourite man?
Yeah, he's pretty good at underwaters, I must say. So it's interesting with underwater phase. You look at Caleb Dressel, and he begins his underwater phase from his arms. He actually uses his whole body. Ben Proud does exactly the same. But then you look at Joe, who's more of a distance swimmer, so he's more 100 and 200 base. If he were to do that off every wall, he'd be using too much energy. So he keeps his upper body, or his arms, more so than his upper body, his arms are relatively still, and the power he generates is all from his core and his hips. So it doesn't use as much energy as what Caleb Dressel would use, or Ben Proud would use, but it's more energy efficient. I like the fact that he's using fins, adding a little bit of resistance in there. The undulation is great. I mean, he's so good at underwater, so it's so good.
I think this is meant to be like a progression of flexibility.
Yes, yeah, definitely, yeah. Yeah, so at the very beginning, if we go back to the start then, it's almost like he's getting used to the movement by doing it nice and slowly. He then goes into the next drill where he adds fins, doing it nice and slowly, getting the movement in his back and the mobility. He then takes the fins off and adds speed. Again, replicating that same action he was doing, and then even quicker again, and then back to the start again. So basically, yeah, you're increasing the speed as well as keeping that same, what's it called? Undulation, yeah. Oh, undulation, yeah. Perfect. I mean, Joe Litchfield's one of the best in the world. I'd love to see him go head to head against Dressel. I think I said this ages ago. Head to head, just to see where he is. But yeah, can't fault that. It's all about progression in drills. Has to be progression. Vertical kick. Always said it. Absolutely incredible. Oh, it's very similar actually. Oh, okay, it changes. Ooh, okay. Okay, so very similar to what Joe was doing earlier. So it's the vertical kick, doing the dolphin where he starts off slow and then gradually get quicker. Because when you do a race, ideally you want to do big kicks at the beginning, and then as you approach the breakout, you then shorten those kicks before you break out into your stroke. So that's what that's trying to do, trying to get her shoulders out of the water as well on the vertical kick. And then this sort of questions me a little bit, because I like the idea of a snorkel. It keeps her body on top of the water, but I'm not so sure about using a float when doing it. I'm not so sure about that. Why use a float, whereas you could just do it streamline? Just streamline on top of the water. I just don't think that's necessary, but it's good. Everything is good. Obviously, you've got the hips coming out of the water, the feet are staying under the water, because if you bring your feet out of the water, you're just kicking air. That's wasted energy, you're not going to go anywhere. So you've got to keep those feet underneath the water for propulsion. Yes, I just don't think the kickboard is necessary. I'm kind of against kickboards in the first place because it affects body position, but because her head's in the water with the snorkel, the body position isn't as affected. So it's maybe a minor detail, but I would get rid of the kickboard. I don't think it's necessary. That would be my only critique from that video. But vertical kick, absolutely do that in training. I would do myself, I would do vertical kick every day in training, absolutely. Alright, next one. Oh, we're punching the ceiling. Oh, the second one, human. Absolutely agree with human. We've done human on our channel before. It's almost like single arm human and changing sides. Yeah, no, I can't fault human, absolutely, that's brilliant. Not so sure on these ones. So the body position, where I think that's Abbie, where she's in the swordfish position on her side. Hips are at the surface, that's fine. It's the bending of the elbow or bending of the arm. I don't see why.
Still got good rotation for the drill.
No, the rotation is good. No, it's very similar to the kickboard one we saw before. The body position is fine. It's then the punching up to the ceiling, I just don't really, it's almost unnecessary for me. Human, no problem. Absolutely behind human the whole time. And you can see, I think it's still Abbie. The power she's going to the hip to get that rotation going, absolutely spot on, I like that. But this one confuses me a little bit, because if your hand is extended behind you and the other arm recovery phase is in front of you, the timing seems to be slightly off, in my opinion. I need to, please tell me if I'm wrong, please comment below. But if your arm is extended behind you, the other arm should be down by your hip. So it's almost like if you think of a clock, you've got a 12 o'clock and a 6 o'clock, they should be opposite pretty much the whole time. That's my way of looking at it. If there's any coaches watching, please let me know and tell me if I'm wrong, but that's the way I read it. Human, perfect, like I've said before, but the bending of the arm, you never really bend your, you don't bend your arm on the overarm recovery phase. You do on the underarm recovery phase, of course, because that's where the power comes in. But it seems like the timing is slightly wrong, so I'd like a coach to tell me what's that sort of targeting. The body position, like I said, is fine. The timing of the arms seems slightly off for me. That would be my only critique again. Next one. Molly Renshaw. See, people might say, like, how do you use fins on breaststroke? But actually, I think you should use them quite a lot on breaststroke. So Molly here, she was doing a lot of the fly kick with the breaststroke arms, and I've seen breaststroke arms done with freestyle as well. It's all about increasing the stroke rate. So she's doing it with breaststroke legs here, she's doing it with butterfly legs here, and the whole idea, oh no, she's doing it with front crawl legs. So front crawl legs, let's do it with front crawl legs. The idea of front crawl legs is to keep your hips on the surface the entire time, and then that stroke rate, obviously it's done in slow motion here, but in real time she's probably motoring through the water. And the whole idea is to speed up that stroke. So Molly being a 200 meter breaststroker, she would want to increase that stroke rate for that last 50 meters. So that's what she's trying to practice here. Again, keeping that hold on the water, good technique. I mean, her technique is absolutely phenomenal. I'd arguably say she's got one of the best breaststrokes in the world. Maybe ever? Difficult. Maybe ever.
Punchy.
It is punchy. Maybe. I mean, Kisajima by far is the best breaststroker I've ever seen technically. But Molly is right up there. Gyurta's pretty good as well. But Molly's very good, yeah. So yeah, increasing the stroke rate, which is what she needs for that final 50 meters of 100 meter breaststroke. Yeah, so I would use fins quite a lot actually, just because of that. Next drill. In fact, it's the final drill. Oh, it's like a push and glide. This looks like James Wilby. Again, progressions. This is what Dave Hemmings is really good at. Progressive drills. So the first drill, when we get around to it, is literally just a push and glide. That's all it is. Anyone can do that in the water. The next stage is to add a fly kick and that pull down. And then obviously the end bit is to then break out into breaststroke. And it's all about, breaststroke is all about being as streamlined as possible. You want to imagine, I was always taught to imagine to swim in a pipe. And if you touch the edges of the pipe, then you're not streamlined enough, basically. So, and that's what James Wilby's trying to do, and Dave is trying to teach James Wilby to be on that breaststroke underwater phase. Tight streamline, legs together, engage that core, then use that fly kick that you're now allowed to do in that streamlined position. Some people question whether they should do the pull down then the fly kick, but if you do the fly kick in streamline, that's the quickest way through water, so I would do it in streamline like James is doing here. He does the pull down after the fly kick, again almost like hunching his shoulders up, keeping himself nice and narrow, and then when he does the breakout stroke, he brings his arms back underneath his body, again keeping his elbows tucked in, fully extends, then he's into his breaststroke. Very basic, very simple, but usually simple stuff is the most effective way, and Dave Hemmings is doing a fantastic job there. My only question is just the backstroke drills. I'd love to have a coach speak to me about the reasoning for bending their elbows on the overarm recovery hits and the timing. That would be my only critique. But the rest of it is basically, it's almost like simple stuff, really. You got to do the simple stuff. The basics is absolutely key. So that's it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you do have any other drills, please send them in. I love doing these reaction videos, and I know Scott does as well. He's on Instagram the whole time looking for them. But if you haven't already, please subscribe to Propulsion Swimming on YouTube. And until then, I've been Dan. I'll catch you on the next one.